Good evening, Overwatch fans, and welcome back to Season 3 of the EGFC. Stepping in real quick, my name's Captain Jack, your play-by-play for this match, joined by the amazing LaFawn as well as Aeon on production. Now, we have got Fairfield versus Wichita State, and needless to say, this is looking to be hopefully a little different than the previous matches you've already had tonight.
Yeah, we've had some pretty quick matches, speedruns, if you will. In the score line, we've had, a little bit of a tough showing from a couple of squads, but Wichita State University and Fairfield University ideally hoping to make that a little bit more balance here, Captain Jack. That being said, we get to start off in Lijiang Tower as our first map. The map pool this week being static as expected. As we'll get a look at the rest in a little bit. We got to start, obviously, on map number 1. It's going to be rush composition here for Fairfield, rush for Wichita State. The gates unlock, and the two teams meet at the center as we are underway.
All right, well, the typical Junkrat spam coming out from Brick Rick here, as well as Fluffy but Deadly. First pick's Ore coming in onto the Reinhardts for each side, and Damply is able to get the follow-up, getting their fellow Diva Vortex out of mech. Fairfield's gonna have a difficult time pushing in without their tanks to be able to lead the way, which means Fairfield's gonna go ahead and start off by claiming this objective.
Yeah, Wichita State actually gets the more aggressive position into the server room here, into this white area, and then they're able to, take advantage of the high ground as a result, spamming through the chokes, even though they lose their main tank. Now, Fluffy but Deadly has the Riptire on the line, fair bit ahead of their oppositions. Wichita State try and just slow down the entry here for Fairfield University.
And let's see if they can indeed make this happen. We see Wichita looking to climb their way in here, or trying to stop Fairfield from climbing their way in here, rather, as we see the level 3 beam of player just melting down anyone and everyone in their wake right now. Fluffy but Deadly does find Walk as they try to retreat out, and they send them all the way back to the choke doors as they reach 42%.
Yeah, Damply needs to stay in mech here, but it starts off well for Wichita State. They get the clean elimination, which makes it a 5v6, and despite high ground control, they're able to win the fight out with no ultimate. Speaking of, there's the Riptire going to be denied, so that's one down, as Wichita State are starting to build up to a healthy percentage lead on the objective.
That is a beautiful way to start things off, but there's just too much damage coming in. Logo to Polo gets taken out very quickly. I don't even think the shield would have helped at that moment. So we reach 69%. Wichita State continues to climb.
Yeah, and this has been a fairly cheap fight too for Wichita State. Only the Riptire used, and now, TW877 has the Earthshatter online. Down barrier engage here for Fairfield as to try and get past the choke point.
Yeah, gotta get aggressive. The Shatter comes out. Doesn't seem to find what it's looking for from TW, but it will slow them down just a moment. Dragon Strike from Walk does find Trash, but it's not going to be enough against the damage coming out from Fluffy. They're heading into a final percentage point. Anybody from Fairfield has to touch, and it's just impossible for them to do so. 100-0 as Wichita State takes the control center.
Seems we are a little bit cursed here on control today in terms of percentage capture for teams not in control, as that is going to be the first round pretty clean. The thing I'm appreciating rather most about Wichita State University in this particular map so far is that they are incredibly stingy with their resources in a good way, right? They don't overcommit ultimates to fights, and that has meant that even after winning the round 100-0, they still had stuff left in the bank if they so needed to. Now, as we get set on Garden, we're going to see some switches coming in. Still the rush composition, though, Fluffy but Deadly moving over to the Torbjorn for a little bit more control in sort of the mid-fight situation. Again, no aerial threats here to kind of worry about.
Yeah, lots of turret power coming out for the side of Wichita State. Both Symmetras using their teleporters to get their teams on the objective. And that Torb turret is going to be able to take care of one of the teleporters, making it difficult for Fairfield to get back in here. First two picks already down on the field as the control point gets ready to unlock. That DMEC once again onto Vortex starting off is going to make it hard for Fairfield to get in here. Wichita State once again takes the point.
That's a very, very strong opening gambit from Wichita State, despite it being mirrored out by Fairfield University. The early read to use the Immortality field to just get in more aggressively by Wichita State University is a smart one, and that means that they get first control by being able to establish position early. Now the Amplification Matrix is online for Hanbei, and that is likely what Wichita State is going to use to open up this fight.
Let's see if they can make it happen. That Amp Matrix comes out, as does the Immortality, to try to keep the team alive. Dragon Strike comes out, not exactly for certain what it hit or where it went, but Fluffy does go down amidst the chaos, but the damage is too much for the rest of Fairfield to handle. They will continue to hold this choke bridge as they approach 40%.
Gil will get the full elimination onto Diva, onto Damply, so building up to the sound barrier will amusingly beat out their counterpart on the opposition as they make a switch over. Vortex now to the Zarya. This is going to be a really tough ask, though, because Wichita State are so close to so many vast resources here, and they control the objective.
Ooh.
As the spam comes in with a Fire Strike elimination.
Yeah, I gotta hate it. Windows open both ways. I think some people forget there, and that Fire Strike's gonna shut down a lot of damage that was coming through that Amp Matrix to start off. But here we go. Molten Core already unleashed on the point. 70% now as there are turrets abounding for Wichita State here. Even if the players aren't on the objective, there's a lot of gear on the point, keeping them alive. Logo with a fat shatter is able to get one, but gets immediately treated by Hanbei, and that is going to be a cleanup right there. Fairfield still trying to fight it out, but we're heading into the final 10%, and I don't think Fairfield's going to be able to turn the tide.
This teleporter needs to be gotten rid of, though, as Brickrick is taken out. They do get it down, and I don't think anyone can even contest now. That's going to be another 200 to 0. So that is blink and you miss it territory for Lijiang Tower here today. Through our first 3 matches, Captain Jack, and I have to admit that, Hanbei here, this is going to be a 3K. Through the Amplification Matrix. I don't believe there's a lot of healing going to happen in this clip. As the Baptiste, just ignores the healing for the team and says, yeah, it's not my problem. I'm taking you go down, that's a price I'm willing to pay.
Exactly.
The flex support to the rest of the squad, and hey, it worked out because they won the fight, they won the map, and more critically, did not give up any particular percentage on the objective either. So, Fairfield University certainly are looking at that scoreline and saying, ooh, map number 2 has to be a sight better if they want to equalize this series.
You know, when you're on support and things get a little dull, if the fight seems incredibly one-sided, you just gotta get out there and get a part of that action. So I totally understand that. As we go ahead and wait and see what comes back from Fairfield as they figure out where we are going next. It's going to be interesting or actually, I forget, we are already decided here in EGFC. We're going to be heading to Kings Row for our next map of the evening. Now, Kings Row provides a lot of opportunity for both teams to be able to utilize kind of that rush composition that we saw during Lijiang Tower, but there are a lot of other compositions in the higher tiers of Overwatch Lafon that have really been coming to play on this traditional Kings Row map.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that we can kind of expect, though, is the rush composition, as you kind of alluded to earlier. And the reason why I say that is because we saw rush on Garden, and where across EGF we've kind of moved away from the from Garden being, Garden has sort of stylized itself as a dive map in this, in play here over the last little bit at the EGF that I think. We can expect both these squads to continue running rush on Kings Row, right? So, whereas there is, as you said, variation, I think, especially for Wichita State, with how dominant they were with the rush composition, then I don't think there's any need to kind of change things up. The question I have is not, is the Reinhardt going to be played? It's more, what's the DPS going to look like? Because we saw Symmetra, we saw Torbjorn in play, but then we also saw, we saw Junkrat, we saw Symmetra in play on the first stage, then we saw Torbjorn come in as a look. So that's where I'm most curious as to the adaptation, though Wichita State going to be on the offense to open things up here.
So at least give Fairfield a little bit of breathing room. They'll be able to draw the line in the sand and choose kind of where the defense stands. So when they go onto the attack, hopefully they have a little bit of an easier time being able to make it to the finish line. But Wichita State has already shown that they're going to be incredibly deadly and dominant, and especially on a map like Kings Row, where pretty much every team has a strategy and feels like they are number one. I'd say that Wichita State may have the upper hand here.
Yeah, Wichita State also has the tried and true, the pure rush composition as we've come to know it in recent memory. Fairfield University, something a little bit awkward, a little flexible perhaps, but the double main heals here is certainly a curious choice as we see the Ana and the Baptiste online. Rick gonna have to put in a lot of work on the Junkrat.
That speed boost is going to allow Wichita to be able to close the gap on that Lucio as we go ahead and see the Cassidy rotating around the outside. Fluffy finding the headshot onto Quef and looking to take down Brick Rick as well. And that Peacekeeper is just doling out deadly work. Gets taken out by the grenade in the end, but the damage is already done. First 30 seconds on the clock, and Objective Alpha is captured by Wichita State.
And, I mean, this is kind of where I highlighted the fact that this composition does not make a whole lot of sense on the defensive end of things. You don't have a win condition established, right? You don't have a defensive ultimate, first of all, right, in the supports. But on top of that, despite Brick dealing a ton of damage, you have to kind of wait for the opponent to walk into you, at which Wichita State is just better at anyway with the Mei. You can see they're rushing forward here as they find out the Reinhardt completely isolated.
And that Am Matrix is not going to help any matters, no matter how many shields you have. We do see the tire coming out from Brick Rick looking to create some damage, but not going to be able to get close enough. Walk now swapping over to the Soldier 76. Looking to get in some legs action, does get that D-Mech in, but this Deadeye is ready and raring to go for Fluffy. And now they've just got to close the gap, but it doesn't look like they're even going to need it at this point. They're just rushing on in, and there's nothing that Fairfield can do to kind of hold the line. Deadeye coming out, going to zone thanks to the payload. Not going to really get much of anything but shield there once it finally clears the path. But now the Nano coming out onto Logo. Tackle, counter tackle, melted by Hanbei. And that is going to be a clear of what looks like Objective Bravo. The Blizzard comes out early to try to prevent Fairfield from moving their way in, but I don't think it's going to matter. Damage has been done as the stagger continues to come out from Fairfield. Objective Bravo is captured.
Yeah, and this is going to mean that the staggered kills are going to come through as well, as Fluffy but Deadly, living up to their name quite literally, tries to find those last lingering eliminations. There will be a 6v6 fight here in the third stage of Kings Row, but you're hoping for an actual response here. You need to open up with this amplification matrix and then use the gravitic flux. That's such a delay. That's so far back. You're giving up space for free, our Fairfield University. And, I mean, you know, Wichita State still rolling the card around despite the matrix being, you know, in play.
True, and it just came down to positioning, using the card as your own little bunker. Oh, TW! Tackling in, trying to get the bomb out of the way, trying to get the shield out of the way just in time for the bomb to do deadly damage, but it comes down to player getting the cleanup 4K as they escort the payload in. One of the fastest times that I've seen on Kings Row as of late, 4 minutes, 58 seconds. Fairfield University better get on their running shoes because they have got quite a bank to beat.
That was a really cool setup, though, from Wichita State on the self-destruct play. The Immortality field is out, yes, but the self-destruct is put behind it, right? So even though the shield tries to block out, the damage, the pin comes in, the shoulder charge comes in, takes down the opposition. Not only that, it just deals damage to the rest of the team, and with the main tank out of the way, the cleanup is easy. And I have to say, a lot of the times when you see a Reinhardt, in the back line like that, you're just like, all right, there's no way they survive, right? But the backup is there from the rest of Wichita State University, and that just means that Fairfield don't have a resolution, for the aggression that Wichita State is bringing to the table. And that's going to mean, as you said, just a time bank that is unrivaled here as now to the defense, Wichita State go.
a lot of it comes down to one of the first things that you mentioned, just the fact that we were seeing the double main support coming out from Fairfield, especially when you're running a rush composition. That Lucio is incredibly important, and we see Trasher Lynn just constantly having that speed boost on cooldown and being able to effectively move the team around, as Fairfield is looking to opt for the dive for this first attack.
This Widow is going to try and find a pick and then switch, but no one really pokes their head out long enough. I mean, going to continue with it for a bit. The problem is this composition does not need... The Widow doesn't provide a ton of value in the late fight. The anti on the onto 2, but Fairfield have already lost their window, I think.
Well, let's see if they can close the gap. Walk now on the Tracer, looking to get into that back line. Maybe take down the Cassidy there on the flank of Fluffy. But they're going to keep that hotel locked down for now. 3 minutes 20 remaining on the clock as Wichita State, despite not losing anyone or taking any lives, will go ahead and continue to hold.
And, I mean, Vortex does not have mech yet. So it's not really a full 6 here, right? So, and that Matrix the Anti-Net gets 1, but Wichita State rightfully just buying space and time and making it more difficult for Fairfield to kind of enter before hitting the go button.
There it is. Speed Boost comes in, trying to get Vortex before they get back into mech, but will be unsuccessful, but does indeed just de-mech them once again. Doesn't even worry about cleaning up Vortex, just allows them to stay out of mech, which is going to prevent them from moving in, just like we just saw in this most recent play. 2:35 remains on the clock, and Wichita State sitting really easy here on Objective Alpha.
Yeah, they have everything they need to kind of hold this one out. Amplification Matrix, Deadeye is also at the ready in a couple of moments, and there it is, the opening.
All right, we see TW coming in, tackle onto the Nanode logo. Now here comes the Primal. Pulse Bomb gets traded with the double fire strike, though. The Blizzard on the objective might be enough to continue to hold. Gil, with just a shred of health remaining, is able to help out just as best as they can, but we will see Damply continuing to hold on to point with Trasher Lynn. As we see the Feed Fest coming in, it's going to come in a little bit faster from the spawn of Fairfield. They just have the advantage for them, but it looks like they're going to pull back and wait for the full 6, giving Wichita State some room to breathe.
Yeah, and that means that Wichita State has a return. And I mean, despite losing nearly every member in that fight, actually do not commit every resource. So they're still sitting pretty well here in this next fight.
Here comes out the tire, gets a self-destruct trade now just for the quick remech to get back in the fight, as we've seen how difficult it is for D.Va to be able to get their mech back in time. Brick Rick will get taken down as they try to take over control of the hotel, and this Ant Matrix will solidify this hold. Player taking Vortex to the spawn with an icicle between the eyes.
Yeah, 1 minute remaining. Fairfield University have an opportunity here. You know, they will be able to build a couple of resources, self-destruct, the Pulse Bomb as well. But I mean, Wichita State, every time you kind of tab over or you know ping over at their resource bar, they've got everything at play still, right? They've got the support ultimates and the sound barrier, obviously both DPS ultimates, and I mean TW87 with the Earth Shatter as well.
That's true. Deadeye comes out, finds Logo. Go ahead and start things off, and the Peacekeeper does find Brick Rick. On top of that, with it a 4v6, 4v5 as Hanbei goes down. The beat invested by Trasher Lynn just to be able to keep the team alive, but honestly, it might not even be necessary. Fluffy but Deadly is indeed showing the deadly part of their abilities right now as they continue to hold this objective. We're in the final 5 seconds. Logo just touching to trigger the overtime, gets a flashbang to death as TW just swings for the heavens shatter in celebration. Brick Rick, though, gets a double with the tire, but no one can touch to keep the overtime wick burning. Wichita State taking a very quick, very speedy King's Row here, brings us up 2-0 in our series.
Player with the highlight of the game as well. And I mean, this has become, you know, a bit of a that's funny. That's that combo play. Obviously, the self-destruct layers everyone very, very low. So just the left click is able to get the cleanup. And I mean, here tonight at EGF, we have a bit of a quick night, at least in terms of game time. As to open up our broadcast here on the main stream, Captain Jack, is I mean, we're staring at match point, not moments after it feels like we started this series. Hey, percentage gained on the objective on King's Row, just over a third on checkpoint A for Fairfield University. So progress from map number 1, but they'll need a whole heck of a lot more on Temple of Anubis if they, hope to kind of equalize this series a little bit.
That's true. And as we're kind of taking a look at the league standings right now, while we're waiting for our teams to get ready for next map, I see that Wichita State's sitting pretty well, kind of in the center of the conference right now. Has a 62% win rate right now for a majority of the maps that they've taken, sitting with a 3-2.
Yeah.
As we go ahead and prepare to head into Temple of Anubis, it looks like will be our next map, or possibly final map in this series. Whereas Fairfield University not doing as hot, sitting at just a 35% map win rate with a 1-3. Right now, definitely seeing a lot of if you take a look at the entire league standing, there seems to be a lot of weight in the central and east side of the tournament, vice those teams that you may be seeing from the western side of the tournament. Find that very interesting.
Yeah, as we open up Temple of Anubis, we saw the arcade machine get vandalized directly in our faces. That's just
dang, unfortunate.
Shame on the spawn room. Just not a sacred place.
Nope.
Fun fact: as you open up it on a control map, you'll hear Athena, who's the voice of the ship and sort of the announcer of the game, will say, "Do not Do not unload firearms in the command ship." Something that everyone ignores.
Yep, pretty much. Well, we always see it come back. So obviously, Overwatch, despite being disbanded, has a lot of money to work with. So Wichita State on the attack once again, going to be coming in with the Wrecking Ball Diva composition. TW already in the backline attempting to try to make this jump, as we've seen is a little bit difficult, but as a Wrecking Ball player, you do indeed learn the skill eventually. The stun comes in with a hook from Logo, coming in on that Roadhog, but it seems that it won't matter much. Logo is tying it up so far 2-2, but Hanbei on the Zenyatta takes them right on out of the fight. The tied fights keep coming in, but Wichita State still holding strong. A majority of their compositions seeming to be pretty standard for what we continue to see for maps like this, and it looks like with already 2 ticks on the board, another 3 minutes getting ready to be added to the clock as Fairfield just gets backed into this mini health pack room, and that's 5:40 on the time bank for Wichita State. They're looking to end this quick, LaFon.
Yeah, it's kind of funny little thing there is Hanbei is the one frontlining a little bit as the tanks are afraid to go into a close room with Brick Rick. So the Zen's like, I'll do it myself as they take the point on lock. Wichita State, they do have a little bit to kind of work with to open up, but this Amp Matrix slows things down a little bit. Doesn't get a pick off though, which is a little bit unfortunate because you need that to kind of get in. Transcendent, self-destruct, keep parts of this next attack run here for Wichita State.
Yeah, I'm looking for the big setup here from TW as the self-destruct makes its way in, as does the Transcendence. Deadeye coming out from Brick Rick, looking for some heads, but not going to find it in time. Walk does go down early, but the trade comes in, and Whole Hog now out from Logo as they continue to litter the objective right now, grabbing the double kill right there. It looks like it might not be enough, though, as the picks continue to come in from Fluffy, as I am seeing kind of a slideshow in front of me right now, LaFawn. So I'm going to hand it over to you to finish up the action.
Yeah, Logo actually does a great job of getting both tanks down on the Roadhog, and that just allows them to solidify. Wichita State, though, walking back in with a lot of resources here as the Bob gets the objective first. And I say it a little early as TW gets taken out here, Captain Jack. And I don't know that the Resurrect is necessarily available early.
That is true. With the Bob invested on the objective right now, going to be able to get that first tick. With 4 minutes still remaining on the clock, we do see TW in the back line going for the supports, does find Quef, and that's it. They're able to distract long enough to keep the rest of the team off the point. Brickrick coming in as the Doomfist, not able to close the gap soon enough. Objective 2 is captured, and that's 3:59 on the clock. So we head into round 2.
So the counter will not count up, it will not count down when it gets to next one, because you start with 4 minutes, right? And they have 3:59, so they missed it by a second, equalizing your
that
start time.
much.
So close. Fairfield University, though, I mean, they still have their work cut out for them because 4 minutes is a lot of time. And to capture, you need to get through both parts of the map, and you need time remaining in the time bank here if they want to keep this series alive. Wichita State University, recognizing that fact, have elected to play a composition that is designed to sort of slow this map down. Right? The Orisa on high, which played up with the Diva for support, and then you just have the Echo kind of playing in the air, running sort of a flank style. So the DPS are kind of a one unit, the tank line a second unit, and then you have kind of the roamer in the Tracer, which player has picked up here. And I think this composition makes a lot of sense for this map. Temple of Anubis, which has these sort of wild choke points, as Fairfield University. I would describe this as a response in a cheesy kind of way, and I don't mean that in a way that sort of tries to diminish what Fairfield are doing. It's literally just cheese composition to try and get in close with the teleporter with the Baptiste and just prevent Wichita State from setting up.
All right, let's see if they can make it happen. Teleporter heads to the high ground as we see Walk on the Bastion, just doling out a heck of a ton of damage. It looks like despite them being ready for just about everything, the Bastion still pops out a bit of damage for you to deal with despite all your best efforts. Player does get the anti-nade right there, but Fluffy cleaning it up right now with the beam, finds the double kill. Player finally able to secure the kill onto Brickrick, and that'll be a hold for right now as Fairfield try to switch things up as they swap over to the Widowmaker.
Yep, the quick cheese comp doesn't work, so you switch it up. That's not going to work a second time, so the surprise factor got through, and you're trying to use the Echo, or trying to duel the Echo with the hit scan, I should say. Here, that being said, the shields are going to put so much pressure onto the Widowmaker, right? Because you have to take such more aggressive angles, which Fluffy but Deadly is going to be able to sort of abuse as well. So, Wichita State, they buy a little bit of time, they just create a little bit of space, and the Ant Matrix is online. I don't even know that they need it for this fight, as Walk gets taken out by Player.
See them continue to try to move into this objective. We will see the high ground given up momentarily by Wichita, but we will see the separation starting to come in. Player kind of playing between the two halves of Fairfield as the rest of the team tries to come back from spawn. Massive anti coming in from Gil. Not a lot of follow-up there, but does allow Wichita State to retake their control of that high ground as Walk is looking for a head to click.
Yeah, so Hanbei actually gets an amplification matrix up, elimination as well, and it's a single fight, or single ultimate that closes out the fight. Now Wichita State are in a position where they can just control the rest of the match because they have, a utility to kind of roll that one by one. As Player is looking for a pulse bomb, gonna whiff this one, but dodges their own utility to not fall to the indignity of their, of a self-death, but. Yeah, just buying time here. And Fairfield really don't have any place to walk in.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really kind of what it comes down to right now is just the fact that Fairfield need to get a pick, and they have not been able to secure one yet. You see even Walk right here trying to click the head of Trasher Lynn and just can't seem to get the sights right in position that they need it to be. Damply using the Gravitic Flux, gets stunned out in the sky as they go ahead and try to pull back. Walk finally finds the pick onto Hanbei, but the res could be in position for them to be able to bring them back. It doesn't look like he'll be able to get there in time, though. This is Fairfield's opportunity. As we see the tire coming out from Brick Rick, it's taken down, and Brick Rick just turns the tire around saying, nope, you're coming with me. Not going to be allowing that to happen anytime soon. Logo de Polo goes ahead and locks down the elimination onto Trasher Lynn, getting the follow-up there onto Damply in the end. And the Amp Matrix coming back in from Hanbei might be enough to be able to sustain this objective for a moment.
Yeah, especially with Hanbei staying alive. No one's in play to really get in close, so there's the respawns coming in, and Wichita has an opportunity to return to the objective here.
That's true. We do see some chaotic nature coming on here. TW able to solidify the double kill as they are literally leaping across the objective. Fluffy grabs a double kill of their own. And despite the fact that Fairfield had every advantage walking into that fight, a celebratory bongos sounds out the battle cry of Wichita State University as they walk away with their third victory of the evening, locking down the series 3-0 against Fairfield University, and continues the very long streak we've had thus far tonight of these 3-0 sweeps.
Shout out to Hanbei here. The support cup, yeah, this is where I said, like, literally frontlining as the Zen player. Their tanks are behind them. Like, what? Saying a little bit of aggression, please. And instead, okay. You know what? That highlight wasn't very. I'm gonna say it. Hanbei, that highlight wasn't very good. That was a lot of missed shots on the Zen player. The Lijiang Tower one was nice. The Lijiang Tower one was nice. That one, a little subpar. But I mean, subpar or not, they get the 3-0 as they complete the full hold. Shout out to TW, who complete faith in their supports as they walked up to the point. Right. Was down to, I think, like 10 or 20 HP at the very end. Is like, all right, you're banned. Hanbei was there to get the healing back up, and they're like, yeah, I'm Trasher Lynn as well. I trust them. And just the confidence to walk to the objective to complete the full hold cements the 3-0. And hey, what a 3-0 it was. As one-sided, certainly the case here.
Yeah, it seems to be the series as is tonight with our third 3-0 in quick succession. But we do have, I believe, additional matches that are going to be going on this evening, folks. So be sure to continue to stay tuned in. I'm going to take a quick look at our schedule. If we don't have one to put up here on screen for y'all, it looks like we are going to have the UTK Esports versus I'm not for certain what the other team is. I can see Riders. Okay. So Riders versus University of Tennessee will be our next matchup. Supposed to be starting here at 8:30 Eastern. So needless to say, these quick matches making it a bit of a long wait. Maybe we'll see if the teams are a little ready early. You know, maybe they're hoping for that one of them got the 3-0 bug today on the right side of that. But we'll be back with more.
Before we get set, though, before we get a quick break, we do have an interview coming up with the winner of with one of the players from our winning team here at Wichita State. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back, everyone, to EGFC, where we've got our interviewee of this match, Wichita State University main tank TW877. TW, it seemed like, especially in that last map, you were just walking in, head held high, no cares in the world, knowing that you were going to walk away with tonight's matchup. How's the team feeling?
Yeah, we're feeling a lot better. Since the start of the season, it's just been constant improvements and learning to work with each other better. We're reaching highs like every day.
Well, we definitely can see that in the progress that you've made over the coming weeks, kind of sitting now in the middle of the league standings. Are there any teams right now that are kind of catching your eye in the upcoming weeks that you may be preparing for a little more than you did for today's match?
One in particular, I don't know when we'll have to play them. It probably won't be for a while, but Boulder, I know, is a really good team. And I think I know the GM of Boulder through some connections with previous tournaments. And I know that she would put together a pretty good team.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be looking out for that match. LaFawn, got any questions for our wonderful main tank player here?
I mean, yeah, you guys are, name of the game has been kind of aggression from y'all today, right? We saw the Lijiang Tower hold a couple of good retakes as well on King's Row. It's tough under pressure, to have those kind of fights. Walk me through kind of what the calling structure is like in your team to sort of allow that to happen.
I feel like everybody really knows when if they see an opportunity to push in, everyone feels ready to call for it. So everyone's just looking for that opportunity. I always say that you gotta play with your ego a bit. You gotta go aggro, and just take opportunities and make opportunities.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, obviously the main tank role, a big part of that. You get to kind of set the pace of the game. Is that sort of sort of a representation of your playstyle? Are you the one that kind of takes the lead in the sort of the engagement?
Yeah, I usually like to be in charge. That's where I feel most comfortable, is when I can call the engagements.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I got to say, congratulations on your 3-0. A fast 3-0. Only 33% given up across the entirety of the series in terms of objective control. It was on King's Row, where you give up 1 tick. Other than that, it was a clean slate. Before we let you go, any shout-outs that you have for anyone at home?
No one at home, but I would want to shout out my ex-team, Naya, playing in Overwatch Tranquility. They just finished 8th in Trance tier of their season, which I'm pretty impressed with their last performance.
It's absolutely amazing seeing you here, TW. For those of you that don't know, TW played in Tranquility last season, and just seeing the absolute leaps and bounds that you've made in progress has just been absolutely amazing to watch, and we can't wait to see more. We're going to go ahead and let you go so you can head back to your team, celebrate your victory tonight.
All right. Thank you, guys.
No problem. All right, LaFawn. Well, that's another 3-0 sweep under the rug for tonight, but there is more to be had as we get ready for Riders versus University of Tennessee. Anything you want to shout out before we send it to a quick break?
I mean, thanks for having me. It's going to be the last cast for me here today, but we had some fantastic Overwatch 3-0 notwithstanding. Looking forward to what the rest of the matches have to offer.
All right, folks. Well, we'll be back. I said quick break, but now that I look at the time once again, next match starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll try to get it going early if the teams are ready and raring to go, but if not, we'll see you around then.